Good morning and welcome to our Student Study Hack webinar. I'm Stephanie Dehan and I'm the Event and Content Manager for SACAP. So we know that studying, and especially just before your finals, can get a little bit stressful. And so today we have a few specialists who are going to help you navigate keeping your mind and body in optimum condition to ensure that you get the best results that you want. We'll start with Ziyanda, who will take us through how to focus while studying. Dr. Diana de Sousa will take us through dealing with exam anxiety and stress. Then we've got nutritionist Nelile Khumalo, who will take us through things that we can eat to ensure that we keep concentration and focus while studying. And last but not least, we've got happiness Mesi, who will take us through various types of physical activity that we can do to ensure that we keep our brain healthy through this time. Without any further ado, Ziyanda, I'll now hand it over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Steph. Good morning, everyone. I'm hoping everyone is energized and ready for the session. So I will literally be breaking down how to focus while studying with you guys. Right. So just in terms of the understanding of what exactly it means to be able to focus while you're studying, we're going to be looking at elements such as understanding what disturbs your focus, how to actually practicalize focusing while you're studying. Would be looking at what it looks like actually ensuring that you're giving 100% in terms of being actively in your school sessions, getting you to those dates. Right. All right. So just in terms of understanding what disturbs your focus. So as much as we talk so much about distractions, I need you guys to understand that there are two different types of distractions. So there's external distractions, there's internal distractions. So with the external distractions, what you're looking at is the noise that's around you, is a cluttered or untidy environment. So making sure that your room is clean, it's any technology, if your phone is beeping over and over again, and then having a very overwhelming workload. So leaving things to last minute, that also comes into play as a distraction. And then in the internal distractions, which you'll see pop up on the screen just now, in internal distractions, we have the personal concerns. So perhaps you're worried, there's a lot on your mind, there's perhaps a lot going on at home. Even daydreaming is considered a distraction. If you're feeling not as motivated, if you're feeling as though you don't have the most clear goals, having a low attention span, feeling very stressed and fatigued, which is expected, and any possible learning difficulties. So the aim really is to understand these distractions so that you're able to prepare yourself in such a way that you account for these distractions and cater to the distractions, right? So in terms of catering to these distractions, we then look at what steps you can take to actually allow yourself to focus on studying, right? And these steps, step one is understanding what type of a student you are. And this is such an important step, because as a student, the one thing that happens is you tend to go with the crowd. You tend to go with the expectation. You tend to go with what your fellow student is. You need to track your energy. Are you a high peak or low point? Because then you're able to set yourself up for success. If you go opposite to what your energy levels are, then that basically means that you're setting yourself up for failure, because you are not actually in that moment prepared to study the mathematics, to practice those equations. You're not ready for it because your energy doesn't allow you to. Then when we move into step two, we then look at setting clear goals, right? And as much as I'm hoping that we're all aware of SMART, so specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So the aim is, when you're setting goals for yourself as a student, they need to be very personalized. You can't set them up. Yes, you can actively sit in a group of friends and actually set your goals, but you can't set them up as a group. They need to be personalized. So you need to make sure that when setting up these goals align to you fully. These goals allow you to literally function at your optimum best. So when setting up these goals, you need to ensure that you're catering to Are my goals specific? Am I going into exactly what I want to look at? Am I going into exactly what I need to cover, what I need to cater for? Are they measurable? Am I actually able to say, okay, the goal is I need to wake up at 9. Am I a person who actually wakes up at 9? Let's start there. So am I able to measure that my goals are getting completed? Are they achievable? Am I able to say I've achieved that goal because I did wake up at 9, my alarm, I didn't snooze, I didn't sleep for 10 minutes, I actually woke up? Are they relevant? Which is very important, because you'll see that if you copy and paste the goals of the person next to you or of a friend, then they're not really relatable to you, they're not relevant to you. So you struggle keeping up with those goals. So they need to be relevant to you. And time bound. We know that exams are not happening at your own time. They're happening according to the schedule that you've been given. So you need to make sure that they are time bound and you go within the time of your specific goals. All right. Then when we look at step 3, creating a conducive study environment, which is another important one. Do not study in bed. Do not study as you are walking somewhere. Do not study in the mall. There's a lot happening. It's a lot that's happening in your environment. So you need to make sure that you're studying in an environment that caters to, perhaps you need silence, that caters to, there's a bit of white noise, but I need something to happen in the background for me to be able to comfortably sit for that time and do what I need to do. If you're studying in your room, get out of your bed, perhaps sit at a desk, perhaps clean up your area. Make sure that your area allows you to say, I can sit here for 2 hours without having to be disturbed. I've got my water, I've got a few snacks. If I need a break, I can take a break. Also, make sure that your phone is on silent. That is a big, big, big one. You need to try and minimize all the distractions as much as possible. Right. Then when we go into step 4, you look at organizing and prioritizing. So this one becomes so important, because if anything, you don't want to be confused. You don't want to be rattled, right? So you need to make sure that you're able to organize your study materials. You're able to make sure that all the different tasks, all the different goals that you had for that day, for that study session, you need to make sure that they are noted. You need to always make sure that you've got that. Even if you create a to-do list, maybe create a to-do list and have it up maybe on a piece of paper, a sheet next to you, but have that so that you can constantly remind yourself, my priorities are as follows. My organization looks like this. So you need to be able to allow yourself to meet the deadlines by prioritizing your goals. Then you need to always make sure, break down the big goals into smaller, achievable, relatable goals. So make sure that it's things that you're able to say, if I'm making a to-do list, I will consciously be able to tick that thing off at the end of the day. If it's something where you just said study maths, that's not specific, because you could be studying and practicing the whole week. And that means you're only going to tick it off at the end of the week. But if you say, today I'm practicing trigonometry, that's you being specific. That's you being relevant. So you're able at the end of the day to tick that off. So that's what the organizing and the prioritizing actually looks like, right? Then when we go into step 5, we look at practicing regular breaks. Please do not burn yourself out. This is why procrastinating can be a bit dangerous, because it leads you to try and crunch everything within a specific amount of time. So all-nighting, that, for example, doesn't allow you to take a break, because you're trying so much to crunch in all the information. You're trying so much to make sure that you got everything. So building your study plan needs you to say, I'm catering to breaks as well. If I'm saying I'm studying 4 hours in a day, I need to know that 2 hours I'll cognitively and consciously be at my desk studying, and for 30 minutes I'm going to take a break, I'm going to take a walk, I'm going to have something healthy to snack on, but I won't be doing something where I need to run out of the house, go out with friends, and then I'll come back and study later. You need to make sure that when you practice the breaks, practice breaks that align with you knowing that you're in the state where you are studying, you're in the state where you're focusing. So do a break schedule that allows you to be calm. That perhaps it's a walk, perhaps it's listening to your favorite song, maybe some amapiano there and there, but making sure that when it's time to say my break is over, you're able to sit back down and say, okay, my break is over, time to get back into work. Practice breaks. Please do not overwhelm yourself sitting 4 hours at a time and just study. That will definitely overwhelm you. It'll overwhelm your system. You'll feel like you've done so much for the day and you tire yourself a lot more. So make sure that you cater to short, regular breaks always. All right. And when we go into step 6, we then go into time management, a huge one. So it's very important to manage your time effectively. And what this means doesn't mean saying, I'm going to wake up at 9 and I didn't lay out what my day looks like. You need to manage your time if you're saying you're creating a study plan. So manage everything in your day that needs to work around your study schedule. So if you know that it's Saturday today and I know I need to schedule in some family time, maybe some time with friends, try and ensure that you schedule each time slot, cater it to what you need it to be so that you can track your time, so that you can ensure that you're not going over time, so that you can ensure that you're not cutting the time short because that friend called in there early. Manage your time effectively. This helps so much in reducing procrastination. So you know that I've got a specific time, I set my goals, and I outlined my priorities very clearly. So it's very easy for you to say, I know at 9 I need to wake up. I know at 9:30 I need to be at my desk. I'll wrap up at maybe 11:30. I'll take a walk, I'll calendar it in. I'll take a walk for 15 minutes, come back, and I'll sit again for an hour. And after that, I can enjoy the rest of my day. All right? Again, please remember that that depends on your energy levels. So when I make the example of 9 a.m., I'm not saying you have to do 9 a.m. I am saying just calendar your time accordingly, right? Then we go into step 7. And step 7 is being curious. This is a very important one because students tend to think, I don't want to ask that question. It's going to be a stupid question. No question is a stupid question, firstly. Secondly, you'll actually be surprised. The question that you have in mind, most of the time someone else is thinking about it, but they don't want to say it out loud. So allow yourself to be curious. Allow yourself to feel comfortable asking questions. Explore your curiosity. I know we know the saying, curiosity killed the cat. At this point, you're not a cat. So let's just go with, I'm allowed to be curious. I'm allowed to ask the questions to ensure that I feel prepared, to ensure that I feel calm, to ensure that I feel as though I'm able to ace this, because any gaps or any moments of weakness that I picked up, I was able to cater to it by asking that question that closed the gap, by asking that question that made me feel confident to take it on. So these are the steps that you need to look at to practicalize, actually saying, I want to teach myself to focus a lot more when I'm studying. This is the step-by-step guide. So this is what you can refer back to. You can set this up per subject. You can set this up for all your subjects. This is what you go by. This will be your bread and butter. And trust me, you'll see a lot more changes because there's an effective plan. All right, everyone. That is about it from my end. So just a reminder that please remember there's enough pressure in the world. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your mind, your body, your soul, and it'll thank you, right? Know that you are allowed to be anxious or nervous. That's normal. The aim is just never to let those nerves override the action or the result. So pace yourselves. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ziyanda. I will now move to talking about exam anxiety and navigating it, the stress for success. Okay, so I thought we would start very much with getting you to think and imagine your journey through school as a long highway leading to success. Along this highway, you encounter various obstacles and challenges, one of which is exam anxiety. So just like in a traffic jam, which slows down your progress to where your destination is, exam anxiety can also hinder your ability to perform well on tests or exams. Exam anxiety is like encountering that unexpected roadblock and detour. It's a natural response to the pressure of exams, but it can also make you feel overwhelmed, nervous, and even panicked. Just as traffic jams can make you feel stuck and stressed, exam anxiety can make you doubt your abilities and worry about the outcome of your exams. So on the next slide, we will see that it's important to understand the science behind exam anxiety. So I want you to think of your brain as having an alarm system. So very much like Ziyanda has mentioned around working with an alarm system for your to organize your study time within a schedule. Your brain is like an alarm system. It's designed to keep you safe. When you face a challenge, like an exam, this alarm can get triggered, causing your body to prepare for flight or fight. This is a normal survival response, but sometimes this alarm is too sensitive, leading to excessive exam anxiety. So exam anxiety is a psychological phenomena. It's characterized by feelings of fear, nervousness, and stress before or during an exam. So exam anxiety happens because our brains are wired to react to stress and pressure. When you're faced with a challenging situation, like an exam, your body's flight or fight response kicks in. So this is a natural stress response. It's triggered by the amygdala, which perceives potential threats and activates this flight and fight response system. It helps you deal with threats. However, in the context of exams, this response can lead to feelings of anxiety and stress. So in an exam situation, students may feel the exam as an evaluation as a threat to their self-esteem, future goals, or even academic standing. This then leads to the release of the stress hormone called cortisol. So when stress influences, when stress related to this release of the cortisol stress hormone, this then has an impact on the student's focus and how they perform an exam. Excessive and unmanaged stress negatively impacts on concentration, recall of content that you had to study, and overall approach to the exam can be negatively impacted. So on the next slide, we have the important understanding of the role of cognitions and emotions. So it's important to understand the role thoughts and emotions play, and understanding physical reactions, and how parents or caregivers have an important role to play in being important navigators in the journey process. So the role of thoughts and emotion. So if we go back to the idea of learning and the highway of thoughts, I want you to think about how these roles of emotion are important to highlight. So part of this process is to consider the thoughts that are on your highway. So positive thoughts are like well-maintained cars, while negative thoughts are the traffic jams. Negative thoughts such as, I'm going to fail, I don't remember anything, can contribute to exam anxiety. And negative thought patterns or even self-doubt and fear of failure also makes it hard for the brain to process information efficiently. Understanding physical reactions is also important, because exam anxiety doesn't just affect your thoughts, it also impacts on your body. Your body might react to a stressful situation that the exam presents with an increased heart rate, sweaty palms, maybe even butterflies in your stomach. These physical sensations can be quite uncomfortable, and it's your way of your body preparing for the threat or the stress that the exam presents. However, if they become too intense, they can make focusing your attention on the exam quite difficult. So on the last part of the slide around parents and caregivers as navigators, it's important that parents or caregivers are important co-pilots in your learning journey. They can provide valuable support and reassurance. So that is why it's important that parents and students are a team in this journey of unraveling and reassurance in ensuring that exam stress is well managed. In the next slide, we have very much a summary of how to navigate exam anxiety. So on the first aspect, we've got preparation. So just like you plan your road trip or your journey, you prepare for the exam, studying well in advance, reducing uncertainty, and this will also boost your confidence. So Ziyanda has very much highlighted a lot of those aspects already. In terms of my segment of today, mine will touch a lot more on positive self-talk and relaxation techniques. So replacing negative thoughts with more positive affirmations. So instead of I can't do this, say I am prepared and capable. Relaxation techniques from deep breathing, meditation, or progressive muscle relaxation, which will calm your mind and body. Breaks and rest. So just as you have to have a pit stop and possibly fill up your tank with petrol, you have to take breaks while studying. It helps prevent mental fatigue. The next aspect around navigating exam anxiety is around a healthy lifestyle. So eat well, exercise, and get sufficient sleep. Just like a well-maintained vehicle, your body also needs to have sufficient care and be looked after to perform better on the highway. And I know that our upcoming speakers, Nelile, will be speaking into these aspects. So on the next slide. So there's two mindful tips for the segment today that I'm sharing with everyone. The first is, keeping with the highway metaphor, is stay in your lane. So just as you focus on a lane while driving to stay safe, practice mindfulness to stay present and focused during your exams. For example, before the exam, take a few deep breaths to calm your nerves. During the exam, if you feel anxious, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, bring your attention back to the present moment. Focus on the questions in front of you, rather than worrying what might happen. Imagine your thoughts as passing cars on the highway. You can acknowledge them, but let them go and return your attention to the task at hand. On the next slide, we have another tip. This one I've called a cognitive tip, and it's about changing your thought patterns. Just like how you can change your route to avoid traffic jams, you can change your thought patterns to avoid stress and anxiety. So for example, when negative thoughts like, I can't do this or I'll fail arise, challenge them. Ask yourselves, is there evidence to support this thought? Usually there's more evidence of your capabilities than you realize. So replacing negative thoughts with positive ones, such as I've prepared for this, I have overcome challenges before. This helps shift your mindset from anxiety to confidence, much like finding an alternative route to bypass the traffic jam or congestion. Moving on to the next slide is other tips that you can also use in navigating and overcoming your exam anxiety. So the first one is around gratitude. Gratitude's a very important and pivotal one. And what this one involves is to really take a minute to appreciate what you have in your life. Be in an attitude of gratitude. Think of what you're grateful for. It could be that your basic needs are being met. You're grateful for your family, friends, your abilities, your talents, your strengths, and successes. Another example is the let it go box. So write down things you would like to let go, put them in a box and let them go. Letting something go doesn't imply forgiveness or mean it didn't happen, but you have chosen not to hold on to it. Acts of kindness. Tell someone how much you care about them. Give them a hug. Help a friend. Listen without interrupting. Even compliment someone. Doing something for someone else can help you feel better. Celebrate who you are. Recognize qualities that make you, you. On a piece of paper, you can list your strengths, your talents, even your fun quirks, and your values. And you can even ask your friends, families to help you if you feel stuck, or of course, to add to your list. On the next slide, I have highlighted 2 further tips for students to handle stress. So one of them is a mindfulness and deep breathing technique. And another one is also related to mindfulness and involves visualization, as very much all of us have different preferences in how we learn and what learning makes sense for us and what works. So on the next slide, I'm going to take you through the different scripts. Okay, so when we move to the next slide, I'd like you to very much find yourself in a nice, comfortable position, sitting on your chair, so that you will be able to go through this particular mindfulness and deep breathing script that I will be sharing in a moment. So this quote for me is very critical in what mindfulness and deep breathing conveys. It's about amidst the storm of exams, finding solace in your breath. It's about inhaling courage and exhaling doubt. So let mindfulness guide you to the calm waters of clarity and success. So in the next moment, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, if that's what you feel comfortable with, or you can have your eyes open, whatever works for you. So eyes open, eyes closed. Take a moment to center yourself. So if you're sitting on your couch, sitting on your chair, just center yourself. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel the connection to your feet on the floor. Let the ground beneath you support you. Let go of any tension you're holding in your body. Now, focus your attention on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose. Feel your lungs expand fully. Hold the breath for a moment. Now exhale slowly, completely through your mouth. As you are exhaling, imagine releasing any stress or worries that may be weighing you down. Inhale once again, and as you inhale, draw in positivity, calmness. Feel the oxygen rejuvenating your body and mind. Exhale slowly. Let go of any tension you may be holding on to. You can continue this deep breathing and allow each breath to wash over you like a wave of tranquility. As you breathe, remind yourself that you are capable, resilient, and prepared. Let go of thoughts that don't serve you and simply focus on the rhythm of your breath. With each inhale, gather strength and confidence. With each exhale, release fear and doubt. Feel your mind becoming clearer, your body relaxing, and your energy renewing. Take a few moments to experience this. And when you're ready, I want you to gently open your eyes if you've closed your eyes. If your eyes are open, I just want you to take a few moments just to come back to the here and now. And hoping through this exercise that you can carry the sense of calm and clarity with you as you face exams, or any obstacles in your life at present. Remember, you have the power to navigate stress with mindfulness and deep breathing. And hopefully these tools will pave the way for success, and you are being able to navigate and manage your stress successfully. So I do have on the next slide it's also a mindfulness script. However, it has more visualization elements. So this is another example that I would like to take everyone through. So very much in a comfortable place, just like the previous exercise or scenario. Find a comfortable position and gently close your eyes or keep your eyes open. So for this activity, it draws on within the stillness of mindfulness and the canvas of your imagination. You hold the brush to paint a future of success and triumph over anxiety. As I said, keep your eyes gently closed or open. Take a few deep breaths, allowing your body to relax with each exhale. Now I'm going to ask you to imagine a tranquil space. It could be a beautiful, serene garden, a peaceful seascape, or even a quiet forest clearing. Picture yourself in the space that is calm and serene. So your space that is calm and serene. You can use your imagination to choose any space that is calm and serene. Once you have found that space, then we are ready to move on to the next part. Now bring your mind to an upcoming exam. See yourself approaching the exam with confidence and poise. Visualize yourself sitting down, opening your exam paper, and as you do so, feel a wave of calmness wash over you. As you read the questions of your exam paper, see yourself comprehending them easily and recalling the information you have studied. Picture yourself answering each question thoughtfully and methodically. Feel the sense of accomplishment and pride as you progress through the exam. Imagine your mind remaining clear and focused, free from distractions and worries. Now, see the finish line. Visualize yourself completing the exam with a sense of achievement. Take a moment to feel the joy and relief that comes with knowing you have done your best. As you leave the exam room, in your visualization, carry this feeling of success and calmness with you. You've navigated the journey of anxiety and arrived at the shores of accomplishment. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes and return to the present moment. Hold on to this visualization as a beacon of positivity and strength, knowing that you have the power to shape your path to success. So that brings us to a close in terms of the visualization with mindfulness as another possible technique that you can draw on to help calm your body and mind. My next slide brings me to the closing aspect of my segment for today. And it's very much around what I believe this quote conveys. So it's turning your exam anxiety into excitement, embracing the challenge it presents, because within it lies the opportunity to shine and succeed. So exam anxiety is that temporary traffic jam on your highway of thoughts. It is that toll gate, a pause before continuing. By understanding its science and adopting different strategies, you can enjoy a smoother journey towards your exam destination. So just like the road has twists, each chance is a chance to shine. Students and parents and caregivers are a united team, ensuring support and guidance to navigate this journey successfully. Embrace emotions, challenge them, and channel them to reach your goal. Your exam anxiety is only one note in your journey symphony. Your strengths and talents lie at the core of your success. So it's important to let your confidence guide you. Your possibilities are vast, and each experience is a step. Exam stress is normal, so it's critical, very much like Ziyanda has highlighted already, to be kind to yourself during this time and to seek support from your teachers, your family, or your friends. And one exam does not define your worth or potential. You're definitely not alone on this road. Reach your destination, conquer your challenges, and you will experience growth. So stay courageous, focused, and journey towards your brilliant success. I will now be handing over to our next speaker, Nelile. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dai, for that presentation. It was really, really great. And I feel confident and have less anxiety with doing the presentation after those exercises. Thank you for that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just go into the basics of nutrition and what is important, so that we know before we actually give you the tips on what you need to eat, and the snacks and all those practical side of things. I think it's important that we understand why nutrition is important. So with the first slide, we're going to look at the basics of nutrition. So what are the benefits of eating healthily? So every single act that our bodies perform uses energy. So we get this energy from the proteins, the fats, and the carbs that we eat, and they all contribute to the total energy pool of the body. So for the body to be able to use and conserve this energy, it also needs certain vitamins and minerals, which can be obtained from a variety of foods. And a diet that is deficient in foods that supply energy and the necessary vitamins and minerals to make this energy available can lead to adverse health problems. So proper energy, vitamin, and mineral intake will provide your body with the necessary fuel, like it's been mentioned before by Dr. Dai, that we need the petrol and the fuel to keep our engines and cars moving. So just like our bodies, we need that too. And we need that to perform all the tasks required to maintain life. So what are these tasks? It includes the production and maintenance of body tissues, the electrical conduction of nerve activity, the mechanical work of muscle effort, and heat production to maintain body temperature. Continuing with the basics of nutrition, on the next slide, if we consume well-balanced meals, it will lead to improved energy levels, and you can think more clearly. And we do know that healthy eating and nutrition is important, but it's just that the problem is there isn't enough emphasis placed on the importance of nutrition in cognitive development and mental health. The diet and mental health are intricately linked, and the connection goes both ways. If you don't make good dietary choices, it leads to an increase in mental health issues, and mental health issues in turn will lead to poor eating habits. So just think that if you are going through stress and anxiety, you probably won't be making the right decisions in terms of what you need to eat and to choose the right foods. So it is important that we maintain a good mental health status so that we actually even choose the right types of foods to eat. Moving on to the next slide. During a study and exam period, the brain and nervous system works overtime, right? This has been highlighted previously. So it does need to be fueled adequately in order to function at its optimal level. Eating well-balanced meals will feed the brain with the correct building blocks, and we are going to look at what those building blocks are, and this will improve your memory, alertness, and overall brain health. If you look at the plate that we have in front of you, that is just basically what a basic plate of food would look like. Now, obviously, not everyone might eat like this every single day, but this just gives you a good idea of what it is you can include. We've got good carbohydrates that are high in fiber, we've got protein, and we can also use plant-based proteins. We've got a nice portion of vegetables and fruits in there, and obviously the different components that are included in this plate are going to be discussed further as we move on to the next section. So the brain uses about 2% of the energy pool in our bodies, and up to 20% of the energy produced by the body. So it does need to be adequately fueled. The brain is one of the most complex parts of the body. It runs millions of processes daily, so we should be thankful for our brains, and we need to feed them correctly because they work so hard for us. And it needs energy to maintain optimal function. Unfortunately, though, most people fall short in this, and it leads to fatigue, memory, and concentration problems. But how can we actually combat this? Through the diet and nutrition. So one of the first and most important things is that we need to keep well hydrated. The brain comprises of 85% water. So if you're not going to keep your brain hydrated, you're probably not going to be able to think effectively. If you're feeling thirsty and you're not actually giving yourself enough fluids, especially water, you are actually going to compromise the way that your brain actually and your functions and its activity. So it does depend on water to provide it with the necessary electrical energy, and it actually uses 2 times more energy than in any other cells in our bodies. So dehydration can lead to a variety of issues such as brain fog and fatigue, sleep disturbances, and problems with focus and attention, and things such as irritability. So we really need to keep hydrated. And we're going to be looking at the next slides, how we can actually help ourselves to keep taking in enough fluids and water in our diets. So keep track and set reminders. These days we have apps on our phones that can remind us to keep drinking water. You can even track, with those water bottles now, you get those nice, cool, fancy ones that have got nice positive messages written on them, telling you that you are halfway through. So we need to keep track and set reminders on terms of drinking water. So as I was mentioning about the water bottles and the apps that have got water bottles that have got messages on them, and some of the apps that you can have on our phones, obviously not making our phones distract us so that we drink water, but just that you have those little reminders there. And also if you drink water around meal times, every time you have your breakfast, your snack, your lunch, and your snack and your dinner, that's already 5 glasses of water for the day. You've already got about 1 liter of water in. So it's very easy if you're actually timing drinking your fluids and your water around the times when you have your meals, or even when you get up from your desk, or even when you're brushing your teeth. Those are all going to be ways that will actually help you to improve your intake of water. Also, another thing is that I get a lot, from people that, that say, oh, but water tastes horrible. It's difficult to drink water. I prefer my juice or my cool drink because it's got a bit of sugar in it. But remember, you can flavor your water with things that don't have a high calorie content, such as things as mint, lime, lemon, cucumber slices. I mean, you can go all out. And also, if you do that, you're actually adding a few minerals and vitamins as well. And you can even do a challenge, maybe with a friend or with a colleague, and maybe with someone at home, and say, oh, how much water have you had to drink today? And then you actually have a water challenge. And by the end of the day, you could have actually consumed the right amount that you need, and which for most people is about 2 liters of water a day. But if you are exercising, you might need a little bit more than that. On the next slide, I'm going to start talking about another area or another nutritional component that is very important for us and brain fuel, and that is omega-3s. So you might have all heard when growing up is that you must eat your fish. It's good for brain health. Yes, it is very important because your omega-3s in terms of the brain, they lead to higher hemoglobin, oxygen saturation, and total hemoglobin concentration. Basically what this means is that it improves your blood circulation in the brain. Your omega-3s also contain, things like polyunsaturated fatty acids and your monounsaturated fatty acids, which are necessary for brain growth and maintenance. And what these do, they actually reduce your neuronal cell death and inflammation, so making your brain basically work a little bit better. And brain cells with an increased level of omega-3s in their membranes are better at communication with other cells. So yes, it is important that you eat your fish and certain grains, and I'm going to show you the examples as we move on to the next slide of foods that are high in omega-3s that we can include in our daily diet. So one of the diets that have always been shown to be high in omega-3s, and it's not only the Mediterranean diets, but we can include these type of foods in our daily meals. It's things like oily fish, as you can see the examples, and it doesn't have to always be expensive fish. It can be things like, pilchards and tuna and anchovies. Those are all types of fish that we can include. Even using things like seeds as well. So things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. And these can be consumed by including them in, say, for example, in yogurt, in our cereals. And when we go towards the end of the presentation, I will give you examples of meals that we can actually prepare that will be high in omega-3s as well. Okay, and it also will help with improved learning, memory, ability, and cognitive ability as well. Another food that has also been shown to be high in omega-3s is avocados. And I just thought, let me add this on because, right now we are in the avocados are in season. They contain a substance called lutein, which is actually very good for improving spatial memory, reasoning ability, and complex attention. So lutein, it actually accumulates in neural tissues and thus may be involved in neurocognition and cognitive benefits. And an avocado has high amounts of this compound and also has monounsaturated fatty acids, which will also have anti-inflammatory properties and high in antioxidants as well, which will decrease chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, which may actually affect brain function. And I am going to be talking about the antioxidants on the next slides. The antioxidant-rich foods, right, what are their benefits? The foods that are high in antioxidants and mainly flavonoids, and flavonoids is what gives certain fruits their characteristic color, so it's a pigment. They can boost concentration and focus. Flavonoids activate an enzyme that stimulates the flow of oxygen and blood to the brain, and this helps our memory and ability to focus, as I've been highlighting this as we doing the presentation. I want to show you now with the next slide, the foods that are high in antioxidants. So things like your blueberries, even if you do a quick search now on the internet, you want to know what foods would be good for brain health or what foods would be high in antioxidants and flavonoids, blueberries always pop up. But it's not only the blueberries, but it's, it's your strawberries, it's your berries, it's other types of fruits such as grapes, even things that are not in the fruit family, such as green tea, cocoa, and dark chocolate, obviously in moderation in terms of things that contain sugar in them. They do have high amounts of antioxidants, and they can actually assist with your focus and your concentration. And as I was saying earlier, the flavonoids activate an enzyme that stimulates the flow of oxygen and blood to the brain, and all of these actually will improve your concentration too. What about another aspect in our foods? As we'll see now with our proteins, proteins are the second largest matter in the brain, and it helps the brain to send messages to the rest of the body. So the neurons within the brain communicate with each other through certain neurotransmitters that are made up from amino acids, and the amino acids in our bodies, we get that from the proteins that we consume. So looking at the different proteins that we can include in our diet, let's see in the next slide those proteins and what they can be. it's very important that we actually have proteins such as foods that are lean proteins, so that we actually avoiding highly saturated fatty acids, rather choose your mono and polyunsaturated fats. And just something that I saw pop up with the questions, I know we're going to cover these at the end as well, is a concern around allergies with fish as well. So as you can see, with the other types of omega-3s that are highlighted earlier as well, you can have things like nuts if you want certain proteins, and also certain seeds as well. As I mentioned, the flax seeds and the chia seeds, all of those things can be suitable for people with allergies to fish. And obviously you can get other types of proteins such as your chicken and your meats, lean products, your eggs, your milk, and your dairy products. And the good thing is that now we also have, for people who are vegan and vegetarian as well, we've got a nice range of plant-based proteins in the markets that can be included in the daily diet. So moving on to the next set of the presentation, let's look at our vegetables and fruits. I know I've touched on a bit on the antioxidants, but in general, your vegetables and fruits are essential for balanced diets. They supply our bodies with vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber, and certain phytochemicals. And, vitamins such as B vitamins, vitamin C and E, they optimize brain function and delay the progression of memory loss. And, a lot of studies that are that have been done that look at, diseases that affect the brain, such as Alzheimer's disease, it actually shows that people who consume high amounts of food, such as, vegetables and fruits, foods that are high in omega-3s, actually have, a delay in progression of such diseases that might actually affect brain health. And obviously your leafy green vegetables contain things like potassium and lutein, and as I highlighted earlier, they are good for your brain health. What about fiber in the diet? So in the next slide, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with this because it is an area that is still being studied quite intensively, and it's gaining a lot of traction. But what we eat and what happens in our gut actually also affects our brain. So studies on the impact of the gut microbiota, which is your good bacteria basically in the brain, via the microbiota gut-brain axis, have shown that it influences cognition. And if we target that, we get good gut health, then actually that can actually modify cognitive abilities such as sustained attention, memory, and verbal learning. So dietary fiber provides a nutrients source for the human gut microbiota. This next slide is just a diagram that shows you how the foods that we eat that are high in fiber will get modified within the gut, and it will actually affect certain areas of cognition, such as memory, speed of processing, cognitive flexibility, working memory, and attention. So I'm not going to go into detail in terms of explaining the mechanism, but as you can see, I just wanted to show you how the whole system is actually linked up together. So what about another area, the caffeine? Because everyone always wants high caffeine drinks and things that are high in caffeine to help boost memory and attention. Yes, drinking coffee and tea and other caffeinated beverages, it can increase your alertness and elevate your mood. However, it is important that you know that there is adverse effects of high caffeine and energy drinks, and they do far outweigh the benefits. I mean, side effects such as your headaches, your dizziness, insomnia, restlessness, anxiety, dehydration, fast heart rates. I mean, it's a long list of side effects, and we really do not recommend that you have drinks that contain high amounts of caffeine. And it's not only coffee. I mean, I'm not going to mention brand names, but there's a lot of these popular products in the market that are taken with high caffeine contents and that we shouldn't really be drinking because of the adverse effects that it has overall on our bodies and also on our brain health. And some of these symptoms actually develop with caffeine of about 200 milligrams a day, and that's just about 2 cups of strong coffee in a day. So you rather switch to water, your decaffeinated drinks, and your unsweetened herbal teas. What other products must you also be careful of? So on the next slide, it shows things like, you should avoid foods that are highly processed. These will also affect your gut health. Sugar-dense beverages and snacks must also be limited, and also don't have prolonged periods of starvation, because obviously we need to keep the brain fueled and we need to keep it functioning at its optimal level. So it always needs to have energy. If we move on to the next section, this, I know some of you might not be able to see the slide properly because obviously it's because of the condensed information in it, but this is just simple ideas of how we can include all of the foods that we've mentioned earlier. So breakfast, you can have your bran flakes, add banana slices, which have potassium. You can have milk, which is dairy. You can have avos. You can add seeds as well. So, I mean, you can even do maybe quick screenshots of this just so that you get the ideas as well. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with this because it is quite self-explanatory, but I just wanted to give you ideas and tips of things that you can do and how you can actually have meals that are actually cost effective and also will provide your body with the right nutrients to aid in your concentration and in your brain health. Ultimately, you are what you eat. You need to improve what you're eating on. And yes, as I mentioned, there isn't one superfood that will just boost your brain health, but we need to include a variety of foods. And obviously, if you do that, you will be able to function optimally and it will improve your concentration and focus. And thank you. I will now hand over to our next speaker, where we're going to be looking at other aspects as well, which is the benefits of physical activity.
All right, guys. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to all our previous speakers, Dr. Ziyanda, and Nelile. Today, I'll just be diving into the importance of movement and physical activity in terms of exercise, stretching, whether it's walking or meditation or just doing PNF stretching or whatever it is that that is priority to you, because I know most of you might be playing netball, playing soccer, playing rugby, doing ballet, or any of those things. So I'm just going to give a brief overview in a short summarized video that I'm going to play for you guys, and it's just going to give an overview of what I'll be speaking about today.
5 ways to get moving and feel better. Number 1, start small. You don't need to be lifting hundreds of pounds or run a marathon to feel better. Try a short walk or join a fun class. We're all different, so different things will help us feel better. Number 2, be kind to yourself. If you're doing anything more than you normally would, then that's a step in the right direction. Keep a diary or tell a friend about your achievements. Number 3, everyday things count. Gardening, vacuuming, mopping, those pesky chores are good for your mental health too. Number 4, clear your head. Physical activity often helps you concentrate on something other than unwanted thoughts and worries. Number 5, celebrate your achievements. Give yourself a reward whenever you've done well. These are just a few ideas. Why not add yours?
Right. So as you guys saw in that video, it spoke about a lot of things that can improve or aid as a study hack in how we do things and how we go about our daily activities. So pesky chores are also added onto that list, apart from exercise, because it does form part of movement and making it part of your daily activity to improve your capacity in aiding in your brain power and your brain function, right? So today we'll mainly be focusing on the priority of movement and how it improves your memory and brain function. I'll be giving you a lowdown on physical activity and what things you can do and why there are benefits. I'll also be touching base on benefits of how it helps in mental and emotional activity, how it aids in mental and emotional capacity. All right, and on to our next slide. As most of you know, exercise, most people use it to, one, look good, feel good. They use it as a way of improving how they look. But I just want to let you guys know on physical activity. Not only does it help in improving your cardiovascular fitness and in building a strong, healthy body, but it can reduce the symptoms of depression, anxiety, and reduce the risk of developing any other health conditions. I think most of us have family members or close relatives that have suffered with either diabetes or heart conditions, and physical activities improve in a sense, whereas when I see a client or a student or whatever it is, the first question that you always ask is medical history. Medical history is important to know because it aids in helping the person learn how to improve their body, going further into what they would like to be doing in terms of improving themselves with physical activity, right? And as you all know, physical activity, like I said in the beginning, does not only help with physical appearance, it improves your memory, brain function, it protects against chronic diseases, like I said before. If you have people that have either family history in diabetes, heart conditions, depression and anxiety, doing movement will help those things. But as I was saying, it aids in weight management if that's your main priority, if that's what you want to be looking at. It lowers blood pressure if you're suffering from low blood pressure or high blood pressure. And improve your quality of sleep, because we all know sleep is important. We are nothing without sleep. If we sleep better, we do better when we wake up in the morning. We are a lot more energized. We are ready to and get things that we're supposed to do going. It combats anxiety and depression. It combats diseases like cancer-related fatigue. It improves joint pain. It improves stiffness and muscle. It improves muscle strength. A lot of people that are of age and sometimes younger suffer with a lot of brittle bone conditions. So it improves in aiding in that regard. And also increases your lifespan. If you want to live longer, you have to move more. And those are just the things that participating in exercise can aid, right? And in our next slide, this is just a little quote I always have myself, that moving your body is a form of self-care. It's not selfish, and it's essential. I know a lot of us don't like movement because we feel like it's a job, it's a chore, but moving actually helps. I know there's a saying that goes, to improve your mood, you exercise. To think clearly, you meditate. And I know Dr. Dye has touched base on most of those things. And to understand the world, you read. And to understand yourself, you write, which is why we're always told to journal and do things of that nature, so that it aids in providing self-care for ourselves so that we perform better at a later stage. And for you guys to perform better in aiding yourselves in getting better marks. Right, we're going to move on to our next slide. So as most of you know, I don't know who exercises a lot and who doesn't, but if you do exercise, there's some feeling that you get after exercise. It gives you a little bit of a boost of energy. It gives you a little bit of chutzpah that you can take on the world and do so many things. And I just want to make you guys understand why that is. So physical activity releases endorphins. And you might ask yourself, what are endorphins? Endorphins are chemical hormones in your body that release when you do either physical activity or things that rejuvenate your mind and help ease your stress and pain or whatever that it is that you feel. They are released during pleasurable activities such as exercise, as mentioned, getting a massage, or eating the proper foods, as Nelly has mentioned earlier on. because most of us are stress eaters, but sometimes we're not necessarily eating the right things, which is why I think it was great to have Nelile tell you guys what things to look out for when you do eat and what things to eat in moderation. Not to be a happy eater and actually getting you unhealthy. And the benefits of exercise in terms of your mental capacity as well. Endorphins are not only help release or relieve pain or reduce stress and improve your sense of well-being. They also help in aiding activity, release a good amount of dopamine that refreshes the brain and improves memory and brain function. So when you exercise, as much as endorphins and hormonal chemicals are released in the body, dopamine is also released. That's why you are happier when you are doing a certain exercise. That's why when you come from a walk with a friend after a long day or after a study break, and it's always great to make use of that time and not just sit down for 4 hours, as Ziyanda mentioned in the slides earlier on. So having the time to break apart your schedule so that you are aiding yourself in helping and improving mental capacity. Right? And in our next slide, we're going to look at how exercise improves your mood. Right? As I mentioned before, I exercise personally to improve my mood, to improve my concentration, and to reduce my stress. And I hope that you guys may use it as that as well, especially in the time that you're coming into exams. Use it to improve your mood. I know studying feels like a drag sometimes, but do things that help and aid you in improving your mood so that you don't feel like studying is a drag. Do things that improve your movement so that you improve your concentration. Do things that help reduce your stress so that you are better able to concentrate and study, right? In our next slide, so as mentioned before, not all of us are soccer players, rugby players, netball players. I myself wasn't a netball player, rugby player, or soccer player, but I tried to get in as much sport as I could. So starting slow does not necessarily mean sign up for a high impact. It does not mean sign up for running. If you're not a runner, that is not your portion. Start slow in terms of doing a small activity such as sitting down at home, doing your meditation. As Dr. Dai said before, sitting in a comfortable position, that is your starting slow if you are at that starting point. Starting slow also means taking 30 minutes of your study break to go relax and go for a walk. I personally love walking near the ocean or wherever there is water because it just releases and brings about a peace to myself. That's what starting slow means. It doesn't necessarily mean join a running group, join a CrossFit gym, or join a touchies rugby team, or join a soccer team. It just means starting where you are. I always have a notion that says meet your body where it is, and wherever your body is, that is where you start off slow, right? And obviously, as mentioned, picking something that you like and you enjoy. So if you like wrestling, if you like fencing, I'm just picking sports out of the top of my head, but whatever you really enjoy, that will help aid because you are having fun in doing what you enjoy. You are improving your mood, and therefore your concentration levels are improved. Your stress is improved. Your anxiety and depression is improved. Therefore, making it better when you are studying to absorb information and to concentrate better. And make it manageable for yourself. Like it was said in the beginning, time management. Make it a manageable thing that you are able to. If you get tired and you're at the top of your brain, you're like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go for a 15-minute run. Make it manageable for yourself. Don't have it be something that is going to feel like a chore. All right, and as always, do only what you have. As mentioned, meet the body where it is. Don't necessarily push or go overboard. Right? And I hope that helps, guys, and good luck for exams. I'm going to hand over to the moment, and I think that is absolutely great.
Yes, and just thanks so much to all our presenters today, our panel. We are so grateful for the information that you shared, not only amongst yourselves, but then also with our attendees. We are going to move into our live Q&A session. Nelile, I am going to ask you to come online, as we had a question a little bit earlier during your presentation. One of our attendees would like to know if you have any suggestions for kids, and I think anyone in general who do have a seafood allergy, and I'm assuming this is in relation to, getting all our omega-3s for the day.
Yes, I saw that question. Thank you very much. Okay, so with omega-3s, right, it's not only your fish that contains omega-3s. You can get things like your seeds, such as your flax seeds, your chia seeds, and you can get things like your avos, seeds, and your nuts as well do have high omega-3 content, although fish has been shown and seen that it's got the highest levels. You can also get omega-3 supplements as well, but obviously with supplementation, you do always need to know that, what is your the right ones. So for example, for younger children, you must take ones that are suitable for kids, and those ones also, you might not need to do a daily dose or a daily supplementation as well, but that is also an option that is available. So in terms of the diet, it's not only the fish, but you can get other types of foods as well, including your nuts and your seeds as well, and your avos, which will contain certain levels of omega-3s. I don't know if that answers the question well, if it's clear.
I think that was more than enough. Thank you. Thanks so much, Nelile. We don't have too many questions in the Q&A box, but Dr. Dai, I do have a question. Obviously, we all went through our 12 years of schooling, and then some of us went on to study. And I think one of the questions I have, it's so easy to obviously mention the meditation, and I think the sessions that you gave us were so lovely. But I do have a question. Is this something that you've implemented in your own study journey, having gone all the way to your PhD? And on the days when you do feel, a little bit of a slump, how do you bring yourself out of it to, go through the meditation and the moments in order to improve your mood and your concentration?
Good question, Stephanie. I think each one of us has kind of a unique way. My way is I actually like to listen to music. Music is one way that I find is quite calming. So that's, and also in other instances, I also do a lot of art. So I either draw, and basically I paint. So I use different avenues that speak to me, that really allows me to calm and de-stress. Sometimes I also do some writing. So I do journaling. And of course, also I also do a lot of self-care. So I do have visits to a psychologist to also help me along the way too, because I do believe that there's a lot of resources out there, and finding the ones that are best suited to you and work for you. So over the course of my studies, I've seen the different tools and techniques, and I've seen the ones that work best for me. But definitely music is definitely my go-to. Friends and family are one that I also draw a lot on. I'm a firm believer in having both of those combined.
Thanks so much, Dr. Dai. We are getting a few extra questions in our Q&A box. So I will just ask the panelists to have a look and see which questions we can answer in the next, give or take 5-10 minutes. Ziyanda, I do have another question for you. When we're speaking about ensuring our space is conducive for studying, sometimes we are limited in space, especially at home, and a lot of us don't always have the time to stay at school or at our place of study just to cram in an extra hour of study. What are simple ways that you feel could be implemented in the home space? Sometimes you've got a younger sibling, or your mom's got visitors and things like that. What are ways to mitigate those factors, even though we have our study schedule sort of set up for ourselves?
Thanks, Steph, for the question. So a big one would definitely be one, share your schedule. So the schedule that you create for yourself, put it up on the fridge, send it to everyone. If you guys have a family group chat, send it to everyone so everyone knows that, okay, from this time to this time, guys, I'm studying. If there's nothing urgent, try not to disturb me, because sometimes it's because it's urgent. So if anything, share the schedule. And then another big thing would be, it's a really may sound ridiculous, but look at creating do not disturb sign. So look at creating a do not disturb sign, put that on your door in moments when you're really mid-studying and it's quite hectic and you don't want to lose focus. And even in creating it, just explain though to everyone why you've created it, and that only when you really can't be disturbed, it's going to be up. But yeah, those are some of the ways. Make it fun, make it relatable, make it possible, and yeah, just make it simple first. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ziyanda. I'm sure those little tips will definitely help going into the final stretch. Happiness, I do have one question for you. And it speaks into limited mobility. So we do understand that you said meet your body where it is, and start slow. So for someone who is limited in terms of one space, so maybe in where they are, but then also maybe an injury or disability, a physical disability, how would you recommend that they start slow? What are small things that we can do within our space at home to get a little bit of exercise or movement in during the day?
With exercise, the nice thing about exercise or movement in general, it doesn't need to qualify as a sport to be movement. So with as little things as if you have a younger sibling and they like riding bicycles, that is movement enough for you to actually get those the body moving and get yourself out of the house. And if you don't have enough space, you only need as big a space as your bed. Sometimes you're lying in bed and just literally on your back, on bent knees, deep breaths, moving your body in a stretching manner or in yoga moves manner, opening up your shoulders, your shoulder rolls, any small movement that you can do, it aids in helping you get that little bit of hormonal and chemical dopamine and endorphin that releases as we start moving our body. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a sport. It doesn't necessarily have to be running. You don't need to join a club, as mentioned before. It can be a small thing as when you're lying in your bed, do simple movements, hold your knees to your chest, side to side, roll over, open up your arms, small things of that nature. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything major. They do say it takes 30 minutes for your body to react to any movement. So 30-minute gaps or 30-minute bounds of things that you can do, it will help greatly.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Happiness. Dr. Diane Ziyanda, if you could possibly provide solutions for any of our attendees or students who do suffer with panic attacks, especially in the high intensity or stress of heading towards their final exams, just what are some of the ways that they could deal with panic attacks, please?
Okay,
Just again, a disclaimer to everybody, everyone's situation is different. And so Ziyanda will provide just a few solutions that could fit your situation. But if you would like more information, we do ask that you leave your email address in our chat box and we will have someone contact you in the week to come. Thanks, Ziyanda.
So on my end, I'll personalize this one a bit. I'll personalize it a bit specifically because I also struggle with panic attacks, especially in high stress situations. So the biggest thing for me is really practicalizing what it is that I need to deal with. And when I say practicalizing, for me, what works is breaking down what it is that I need to tackle. And definitely pushing not to overwhelm myself. So I don't push as much as I know that I can work last minute. I try not to push it to last minute in case there's any surprises, because that's when the anxiety peaks for me. So I think the biggest thing that you can look at doing is definitely understanding what that specific thing requires from you and breaking that down for yourself so that it doesn't feel as anxiety provoking, it doesn't feel as overwhelming. Practicalize it a lot. Don't overthink it, because I know this goes hand in hand with overthinking as well. So don't overthink it, but try break it down in such a way where it feels like, oh no, I can handle that in my sleep. And I think for me, another thing, track how you're feeling, track it quite a lot. So also when it starts coming up, don't just ignore it or don't just, no, I'll probably be okay. Don't do that. Track how you're feeling so that when you feel that it's starting to come up, you can already say, actually, I need to deal with that. I need to look at what's making me already feel anxious in this particular situation, or is it the task, or is it how big the task and how overwhelming the task feels. Yeah, break it down for yourself, practicalize it, make it very much small. Yeah, make it small bursts. I hope that answers it.
That was perfect. Thanks so much. Dr. Dai, if we could ask you to maybe just add anything in terms of general ways to deal with anxiety. As we do know, everybody's situation is different. And just maybe what some of the options or solutions are for some of our attendees, please.
Sure, Steph. Sorry about that. I think to have cut off there for a moment, my signal dropped. I think it's a lot of the techniques that I mentioned in the segment around gratitude, around very much looking at how you can shift your mindset from negative to more positive thoughts, challenging negative thoughts in terms of looking for evidence. And you will find once you start tracking your thoughts and challenging your thoughts, you will be able to enable a shift in the mindset. I think also there's also, I think Ziyanda's highlighted very nicely the more how you're able to tackle a task, and the more you break it down, the more manageable it feels. And every little thing that you then achieve on the subtasks of the bigger task actually boosts your confidence. So for me, it's about assessing a situation and looking at the situation from the view of what is within my control. And then within my control, what can I break down further into almost a list of prioritization? So what's important to do today? What's important to do in 2 weeks' time? What's important to do in 1 month's time? So in that way, you're managing your tasks, but in a way that seems manageable to yourself, and also drawing on things that actually make you feel calm. So for some people, it is music. For me, it's music. I love listening to music, particularly when I've had a stressful week. Watching movies, spending time with family. You have to look at what is an aspect that you're able to create that balance for yourself. So whether it's your schoolwork, whether it is work, whether it is any task that or any aspect that you have to accomplish in your life, you have to look at ways that make it feasible, and actually ways that you can actually make it attainable. And that for me is quite helpful, and always to realize that you have a support system that you need to draw on to help you along the way, to support you in that goal, so that you also can celebrate your accomplishments. But also when you do hit those speed bumps along the road, you have someone to actually.
Oh no, I think we've lost Dr. Diana again. But I think she was just saying so that you do have someone to be there and to support you. Nelile, you've got your hand up. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I actually want to answer a question that I see just that popped up on the chat about the herbal remedies or supplements that can be used. So most of the herbal supplements that we have in the market, if you read up and you look at what those supplements contain, especially on the herbal side of things, they mainly your green leafy kind of plants or vegetables, or they contain the vitamins and minerals that we find from your green leafy plants. So again, without mentioning or promoting specific products, but you will always find that the herbal products will be products that will have sort of those green plant-based supplements or in them, and that basically means that they're higher in your B vitamins, they're higher in antioxidants, they've got higher flavonoid contents, and they've got fibers that are higher, and then that's why they've been shown to actually improve memory and concentration. So if you're looking for a herbal supplement, you must actually be sure that it's something that has been tested. Unfortunately, most of the supplements we have in the market haven't been through certain, certain standards. So sometimes the concentrations can be a little bit too high. So if you do take certain, for example, other medications as well, you must look at interactions if it's not going to interact with the medications that you're on. But if you are taking a herbal supplement, just take a note and understand that those ones are usually high in the vitamins and minerals that I was discussing earlier. So they might be high in omega-3s, they might be high in antioxidants and flavonoids. It might be the B vitamins that are in them, and they mainly obviously plant-based because it's herbal. So, and that is why then they will show to be of benefit, but obviously look at what side effects it might cause for you, if especially they are in higher concentrations.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Nelile, for picking that up and for answering that question. I'm sure our attendees are very happy to obviously have that insight. As we have run out of time, I'm not going to keep our panelists or our attendees any longer. We thank you for joining us this morning once again, and we hope you have a lovely day further, and that we've helped you on your study journey to getting the results you want at the end of the year. Take care.